welcome to yet another episode of Occasionally with me, the incredible me. So anyway, guys, on this episode, I have Fahad bin Mohammed, and we're going to talk about addiction. I feel like it's something I should have talked about a long time ago because the need is urgent, it's overwhelming, and the awareness gap is too big. Fahad.
Yes, Brenda.
Fahad, first of all, is an addict in recovery. So what does that mean? We're privileged to sit with him actually because he's going to give us in-depth insights on addiction and basically everything he's going to talk about. He knows, some of us are just going to talk about because we read about it or we're passionate about it. But with him, he knows exactly what he's saying. So I hope you enjoy this. I hope you follow and I hope you pick out something because we need to pick out something. So hi Fahad, you're welcome.
Hi Brenda, it's an honor to speak to you again.
Yeah.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy to have you here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an honor to be here as well.
Yeah.
Anything for mental health, we're there.
Amazing. That makes me happy to hear. Yeah, we're both mental health advocates. That means
Conquer, Haze.
You know.
So we're partnering to spread awareness, which
I love
is
that.
it's empowering. Yeah.
Let's keep doing it. So Fahad, let's get straight to it.
Yeah.
What's addiction?
What's addiction? I don't think even psychology, we have different psychologists, different scientists come up with different terms of addiction.
Not defined any in your.
In my own, addiction is just a response to human suffering. One form, it's a response to human suffering. It's just an outlet, an effect that, cause and effect.
Yeah.
So the addict is just the effect. It's what we see as a result of the suffering. Okay. Yeah, so people use it as an outlet. Not even use it. It is an outlet for people's suffering.
It is an outlet,
yes.
Actually.
Yeah. So that's my best description from my own personal experience, from what I've been through and what I've seen colleagues go through. Yeah. I believe addiction is just a response to human suffering.
Okay. Yeah. I agree with that. And I think just to add to it, my thought, it's a getaway. It's the escape, right? It's using a substance or alcohol or a habit.
Any mind-altering substance.
Yeah, any
mind-altering substance. Usually psychotic, but mind-altering nonetheless. Alcohol, weed, all drugs minus the ones they give you as prescription for your health. Yeah, but any mind-altering substances can be described as drug.
Okay, but I thought addiction is more like a compulsive need to ingest a mind-altering substance, right? I feel like with addiction,
Actually, I think we're off the mark a bit.
Yeah, sure.
Because I think in this addiction, we're talking about substance abuse more. But because there's a correlation, because people get addicted to so many different things, social media, sex, food, to each their own poison.
I feel you.
So when we talk about addiction, it has more or less the same effect because, neuroplasticity, the effect it has on the reward system, more or less stimulates the same emotions. So an addict can usually relate with another addict, the hopelessness of another addict. Okay. So I think we shall just talk about addiction in general in this conversation. But once in a while, I'll really give my personal experience, which is with drugs and alcohol, amongst other things.
Oh yes, I'm excited for this.
Yeah.
Fahad, at what point will I know or should I know as a human being that I'm becoming an addict, or I am an addict?
At what point can you know?
Or should I know?
Should you know? This comes from self-awareness. How self-aware are we as human beings? How often do we take our time to do personal inventories? You get? Our pros, our cons. Because most of us just go through life. We're merely existing. We're not living. You don't plan your day. You don't plan your time. We're thought for us. As people think on our behalf, people make decisions on our behalf. So I'm sorry, my train of thought.
Okay, basically, what I wanted to know is, as Brenda, if I'm having a particular
Oh, yes.
thing,
How
at what point should I sit down and be like, hey, yeah,
let's first start with the obvious ones. If you're blessed, the Lord will show you.
okay,
If you're blessed, you will feel it. You'll be like, okay, this is not working for me. This is really, he'll show you something catastrophic. They may beat you. Something bad can happen to you. Something that may look bad in the moment, but it's clearly a blessing in disguise.
supernatural.
Yes, supernatural phenomenon. Then there's the self-awareness from you introspecting and looking into yourself and doing a self-evaluation. Then we have the help of peers and society, in that I can tell you, oh, Brenda, I think your drinking habits, the way you use social media, I think the number of guys you're sleeping with is alarming. You get, so you can also use other people's opinions. Then if you're not so lucky, you will be led to the conclusion. This is incarceration. This is when you become really dysfunctional, you're institutionalized. This is when you no longer have the power to function by yourself, and now that power is taken away from you. So through those institutions and those facilities and that intervention is when you'll actually find out that you actually have a problem with addiction.
You said something, when you lose the power. So are you trying to say some addicts have the power and some addicts don't have the power?
We're all unique human beings. We all have different levels of willpower and strength. Your tolerance cannot be my tolerance. You get it? So how can I best put this into context?
Anyhow, anything else.
If you drink, you can drink for a week and you are totally unbothered. For you, your genetic predisposition is you're not affected by alcohol the way I am. But if in my bloodline, I am genetically predisposed to alcoholism and I do drink the same way as you, the odds of me actually remaining an addict are much greater than yours. Yeah. So then we also have to take into the environmental settings, society settings. So all these things come into play.
Okay, I get you. What are the different types of addicts or addiction? Oh, I didn't know.
I think when we're talking about usage on whichever scale, there's a recreational user. These are people who, social users. They're invited to weddings, they're invited to birthdays, they go for parties. So when they're there with their friends, they occasionally might indulge in a glass of wine, in a beer, in a few cigarettes, in some smoking of some marijuana. Once in a while. The ones they call once in a while, once in 3 months, once in a blue moon. These are clearly people who, in their day-to-day life, do not need these substances to function around them.
Recreational users?
Yes, recreational users.
Are those addicts?
No, they're not addicts. We're just talking about the scale of addiction.
Okay, yeah.
Then there's the functional addicts. These are people who manage to go about their lives while using and being engaged in their addictions, but these addictions do not directly impede their lifestyles. You can be an alcoholic, but you have the money to fund it. You have never really needed to go to treatment, but you're functioning. You wake up every day, people wake up every day, they go to work. Some use while at work, some retire from work, go and use, some can actually use just over the weekend. These are functional users. Then we have the dysfunctional users. These are people who use to live and live to use.
They live to use?
And use to live. Yes.
They use to live.
So basically their whole life is around the addiction. The addiction now 100% describes them. They see nothing else to do in this world. There's nothing. The sense of hopelessness.
Yeah.
There's nothing left to do in the world apart from do the thing I love the most. Let me just use. So they use till, they can't use no more.
Okay, that's quite moving because I feel like post COVID-19, people have, we not people, all of us, not all of us, no, most people have come up with or have developed habits and lifestyles that could or may not translate to addiction.
How is that? How?
Like, I feel like because of the lockdown and no work to do, no movements, people resorted to buying drinks from the neighboring shop and drink from home. And then slowly the neighbors became one drinking community.
Oh, so the whole COVID, we're talking about the whole COVID having an impact on addiction and
Yes.
scaling it. Oh, yes, that is very true. I mean, prior to COVID-19, let me give you a scenario of if you are a functional addict prior to the emergence of COVID, you'd go to work, you'd have a sense of purpose.
Yes.
You might be using, but you're still functioning with your life. You have systems, you have connection, but you're still using. So when COVID came, hypothetically speaking, if you lost your job, if you happen to lose the structures that kept you functional,
Yeah.
what would happen?
True.
Because the addiction didn't go away because COVID came. You still continue using.
Yeah.
So you find out that now you have nothing to do with your time. You're no longer constructive. You're now focused more on using. So over a period of time, you might slip into dysfunctionality. And that is one of the main factors that COVID has destabilized so many structures. So many children are out of school. So many people are exposed. There's a lot of poverty because one of the major contributing factors towards addiction is stress.
Stress.
Like the amount of stress a Ugandan is born into
Man.
is unbeknownst. Like we're looking at this from a normal perspective,
Yes.
a reasonable perspective. This is not even a second world country. This is a third world country. I mean, categorically speaking, if you have been in Uganda all your life, you don't know any better.
Absolutely. You could know TV and everything.
No, I mean, there's TV, there's whatnot, but you can't really have walked someone's shoes. I mean, if you haven't sat in a Range Rover, you won't know why it costs that much.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen a luxury car and felt its performance, you won't know why it's called a luxury car. If you're used to your Toyota, so already when you're in Uganda, you're already born, I think, like 4-0 behind. You can't even, but just know we're so behind in the race that depression already globally is like the secret disease in every family, the illness. Like in every family, there's an aspect of depression.
Absolutely.
But now amongst the impoverished, because we're already born into such fucked up situations that you can't even tell you're depressed.
Really?
You don't have time because everything around you is bad.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, it's hard.
It's a lifestyle. Depression becomes a lifestyle.
It becomes a lifestyle that even around you, there's nothing conducive that is making you happy. As in, nothing around you brings you happiness. You understand? Like, here, yes, we might be privileged. You may have your running water, your amenities and whatnot. But people down there in those ghettos who live day by day, that is all they know. Where do they derive that happiness? You know, sometimes people need to receive happiness from other people. So being born into Ugandan stress is already a very huge contributing factor.
It really is, though.
Yes, because we are so behind, coupled with the poverty.
Yeah.
I mean, people were defeated even before they start the race. Like, I mean, we eliminate ourselves from, I can't be wealthy, we limit ourselves by our speech because society has conditioned us to think that way. And that leaves people further down the spiral of addiction. Yeah.
Hi. But then that's such a difficult situation because the reality is sad.
That's the reality.
Yeah? It's sad. So because it's just a grim reality,
Yes.
that means everyone is hooked onto something or a habit,
Yes.
an addiction. How do we go forward? Do we make it normal and...
Because all problems, I think, we have a role to play in this as individuals. But I believe the problem we're faced with when it comes to mental health and issues to deal with addiction, suicide, and all these things, is it is a society problem. We can no longer, yes, we talk about these things because we are individuals at the end of the day, but this is now a challenge we need to combat as a society.
I agree with that. It's too big now.
It's too big now that, first of all, it has been underrated for so long, but this is not new.
It's been normalized.
Yes, it's been normalized because being high is the new normal.
Yeah.
But these are not realities that are new to people. People have been living this for because I mean, mummies from the Egyptian, cocaine has been found in these mummies by anthropologists. You get archaeologists actually. From since then, I mean, people have been using mind-altering drugs since back then, and
they have been, some of them grow naturally.
Yes, and we're actually blessed that for us in Uganda, we don't really have that access to those really, really lethal class A drugs.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And we can't even afford them. But if that was a reality, I mean, now, if the Fahad, the active user, was born into the US, I don't know. I would have either died or I think Pablo Escobar would be a myth. I mean, you get it? Because in Uganda,
You'd be on the streets.
I'll be on the streets. We'll be those corner boys. Because when you look at the correlation of the Kampala may not be the Kampala I know as an addict.
Absolutely, yeah.
We might all know the fancy, but I know the laws. Because that's where the addict goes to get his fix. You get? So we have to be blessed that, even our setting in Uganda, we have the alcohol, we have the marijuana, we have the cigarettes, we have the poor quality drugs. But we're not really hooked onto those.
If those drugs were on our market and if people had the money to afford these drugs,
would be finished.
But you know what's interesting, Fahad?
Yes.
We may not have those drugs,
Yeah.
but Ugandans are abusing other drugs, even pharmaceutical drugs.
Oh no, for sure. For sure. Addiction, everything is in Uganda.
Yeah.
There's nothing that is in the US that is not in Uganda.
Absolutely.
We've used all these things, but it's just the scale. People don't even know what pethidine is. You get? But people have access to pethidine. But this is a very, very painful, this is a very, very strong painkiller. But these are things people are addicted to. I remember my experience because my kind of addiction is, I believe I term myself as a user. I was a user. I didn't have a lead. I didn't have a line. I didn't care what we're using.
Anything that
Are we using?
has?
Oh no, if we're using, we are using.
Hey.
Whatever, who's the closest plug? Where's the closest ghetto? Where can we get our next fix? Reached a point of, even when I used to have those really, really bad rugby injuries, I needed to get the diclo shots. You get?
Why? You were addicted.
Because I was already inherently an addict.
Yes.
You get?
Yes.
But now I actually needed to perform physically. Not that I was pretending, but I needed the painkiller to perform.
You needed it.
Yes.
Actually.
But now you have gone for a tournament of 2 weeks, 10 days. So you're playing every day. And it's high intensity. So you're getting 2 doses a day of injections. But this is a painkiller. Yeah?
Is this like yourself without?
No. There are people who assist you because you're an asset to the team. You get? You being injured but on the painkiller is still better than them being on a substitute.
Oh, I feel you.
Yeah. So they would rather just keep on giving you what works for you so that you can give them their results. Yeah.
Is that legal?
No, it's not legal. These are over the shelf drugs. Your nurse, your school nurse has your therapy, your physio has.
Your friend has.
Yeah. So and the rugby fraternity, I ended up. It's just now looking back. When I'm piecing together all the things I was using, I actually got addicted to that for a while. You get? It reached a point where I had lost sensations in my left thigh, my upper thigh, because you're getting daily injections, like morning, evening, morning, evening, morning, evening. But for 2 weeks. So it reached a point, me I was inherently an addict. So they were also giving me a fix they didn't know.
Oh yes, I feel you.
Yeah. So basically that's it.
I want to know what's inside the mind of a typical hardcore addict. Let's say like how you're expressing how you are when you're getting that fix in that moment. What's going through the mind? Are there thoughts of this is wrong? I should not do it. You understand?
No.
Or are there thoughts of I'm excited to do this. I've been looking forward to this. I need to do this right now. I don't know if you get what my question is.
I get what you. So you remember when we said being high is the new normal? Substance abuse affects the neuroplasticity of the brain. So for a typical human being, you grow up naturally, you develop naturally, your brain is wired naturally.
Yes.
But for someone who uses drugs and abuses them, and now the mind has been altered, the neuroplasticity alters the reward function of the brain, how you perceive reward. In that now, in the mind of an addict, I'll answer them actually both ways. The addict you say is of when he's using is like, okay, I need to stop this. That is an addict that has been empowered.
Empowered.
Yes. That is an addict that maybe has done self-evaluation, an addict that has been into the system, an addict that has had psychotherapy. I mean, this is an addict that actually knows this is wrong for me.
Okay.
This is not the addict that is still in denial.
Okay.
You remember when I said there's a time we were talking about the failure of an addict?
Yeah.
So that addict goes to bed a failure when he's using. In his mind, he knows this is bad for me, but I can't stop it, but he is using. He already knows it is bad for me. So he already knows good and bad. He knows when he's being successful and when he's being a failure. So what is going through that addict's mind is, okay, depending on mindset and where they are in life, but it's damning. I'll not lie to you. It's damning to be an addict. It's painful, especially, but it's part of the journey to recovery. Acknowledging the pain and whatnot. It's really, really painful. The insanity of doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
Yeah.
It's really, really painful. I mean, from an ordinary person's perspective, you may not see it, but a fellow addict can empathize. Like you can almost feel that person's pain.
To be honest, like because of the terms we use, failure and win,
Yeah.
I may not feel what the empathy that. No, I feel the empathy. No, I may not feel the exact pain.
Yeah.
But for me to say that someone goes to bed feeling like a failure makes me imagine what that feels, because failure is a big word.
Yeah.
And there's so much to life than that substance. And for someone to feel that failure because they couldn't stop the addiction, I think is a big...
Yes, but that is how we have been conditioned. Addicts are continuously punished, actively punished by society, by their parents, by their peers. These are people that have been thrown out from societies, they have been excommunicated. These are people that have been left behind.
Yeah.
Because what we need to understand is sobriety is not the opposite of addiction.
Okay.
Connection is the opposite of addiction.
Say that again, please. Say that again.
Okay, let me say it again. Sobriety is not the opposite of addiction. Connection is the opposite.
Connection.
Yes, connection. This is, as human beings, we are social creatures. And what we crave most is connection. So in an addict's life, when you see someone actively engaged in usage, look back for when this human being lost the connection. At what point in their lives did they lose those meaningful connections?
By connection, do you mean like social connection?
Everything from conditioning from the formative years, from 1 up to 7, from when they were in adolescence, from when they went to school. History doesn't lie. Just look back, do an inventory. All people who born into broken marriages, people who have gone through childhood trauma, been domestic violence. Like, I mean, all the evils of the world.
I get you.
All the evils of the world make a person. In that, by the time you reach 7, you can either be a very happy child or a very sad child.
I agree.
But how many people have looked back to do an inventory of who they saw, what they learned from the ages of 1 up to 7?
Why are you using 7? Is it the standard?
Because this is when children observe, they learn by seeing.
Or that age?
Yes, the parent figures, they are role models in life. This is where they learn from. So if you grew up in a household where you're seeing daddy and mommy fighting and drinking and whatnot, yes, they're still in a family, but that grew up, you've grown up as that is your norm.
Yeah.
You get? You may not register it subconsciously, but down the road, you are more highly predisposed to engaging in the same vices as your what?
I feel you.
Yeah. So the addict craves connection so much, in that for all these clinical depressions and whatnot, the hopelessness that comes with suicidal tendencies, people just don't feel understood. Like, an addict is one of the most misunderstood people in the world. You get? Because first of all, their primary caregivers, first of all, are the people they should not even take advice from.
Their primary.
Once you're an addict, you can listen to people's opinions and listen to their views in your family setting. But taking advice from them? Because remember, these are individuals that already biased. They already invested. They've invested their money, they've invested their time, they've invested their emotions.
Yeah.
And these people are also inherently selfish.
Yeah, in their own ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the primary caregivers need to be educated. Because addiction is not only a family disease in the essence of it affects the individual and the family as well. I mean, financially, the stress, the embarrassment.
Emotionally as well.
Yes, but even the genetic predisposition.
Yes.
Human beings are inherently selfish. We need to learn how to take responsibility and know when to say yes to your mom or dad and when to say no.
Okay.
Because these people, first of all, the generation gap has led to a misinformation gap. The people, typically your parents, will not understand what you're going through. They may try as much as possible to understand, but they will not.
They can't relate.
Yes, because first of all, they cannot even take into account the role they played.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So take it from an addict who has been in treatment for 3 months, comes home, goes back to their home, the same place his addiction was nurtured, the same. They're going back to the same setting.
They're going back to the problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
But remember, if you have not educated the family,
I agree.
if you don't educate the family on addiction, they will not know how to handle this human being. Because they also want quick. They want.
And also, I feel like even them,
Yeah.
they don't even know, they're ignorant about the effects of their behavior to these kids. Most people don't even know what mental health is and what comes with it.
It's taboo.
Right?
It's taboo.
Fahad, you said something that I need to ask. You said addicts lose the connection. Can someone refine that connection without going to therapy, without coming to Conquer Uganda to see a therapist?
Along the way?
I don't know if it's along the way.
In their journey, are we talking about
Yeah.
an addict or just any other person out
The
there?
addict. Like, let's say
The addict.
you've reached a point where you know this is addiction and I should do something about it.
Oh, so you're already empowered.
Yes, you're empowered. Do you have an idea of what's going on?
The empowered addict is an addict who's on the road to recovery. Like that one at least is on their journey. Because therapy doesn't make you happy.
It doesn't
Like
make you happy.
you don't go to therapy to become happy or for your problems to go away. They're just empowering you with the tools to make better judgments.
Yes.
You get? So you may not come out happy, but you will come out with the tools to enable you to achieve the happiness you want.
I feel
you
you.
get?
Yeah.
So this person who knows, yes, I'm an addict and now I need to work on myself, you automatically start running your life like a recovering addict. You will find yourself reading and doing research. You get to find out about the 12-step program for the alcoholics. You get to find out about the narcotics program, the Narcotics Anonymous. So you'll find out that there are even clauses where there's make amends to the people who have done wrong, to maybe indirect or direct amends. You'll get to realize that now I need a support system, because what an addict needs in their life is a support system.
Okay.
That is the best way to attain sobriety, I believe. Okay, one of the best ways, because if you have people around you that really understand your situation, not people that are passive about your situation, the people that really genuinely care about your well-being. These are the people that are going to help you strive for success and the best. So if you have the ability and the knowledge that, okay, I have a problem, you'll automatically start reaching out for help. You talk to people and be like, I have a problem with this. And those people you build connections with, those are the people who are going to actually elevate you.
Okay. There's something I've noticed in people, let's say, like he or she's struggling with something, and let's say the support system that's actually right, like the people that have got your back, that are watching all this and are thinking, let me do something. When they come and when this support system, the good one, maybe tries to help, like let's say I'm your friend, I try to reach in, I've seen situations where I'm using deflect. You actually, I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. And then they will pay attention. What they will call a support system is not. They're just probably drinking buddies. Is that part of addiction?
No.
Are those part of the negatives of addiction? Failure to recognize an actual support system and choosing the.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if my problem is alcohol,
Yeah.
I need to know that the people I'm surrounding myself with, honestly, are not the people I'm supposed to be with if I need the right help. You get? If your problem with alcohol, why are you going? Why are you going to the bar? You get? Everyone who goes to the bar goes there with their own reasons.
Yeah.
But their reasons somehow are aligned. They may be happy, they may be sad, but they have come to give it. So for you, that is not a. It's not a place to socialize and bring your big problems. What you may see as a big problem, to them, that's the reason as to why they are also in the bar.
You also have a problem.
They also have a problem.
Yeah.
They're not there to celebrate. They're trying to relieve themselves of the stress.
Yeah.
The insanity is they are also part and parcel to the addiction. The only difference is you are now more informed about it than them.
Yeah.
Yes. So these are very hard decisions we have to make. But the notion saying that show me who your friends are and I show you who you are is not a lie.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean the 5 people we surround ourselves with build our momentum and character.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you need to learn to know who is good for you. And deep down I think in our hearts we always know.
Or you think I agree.
As an addict you know. You know what is toxic for you. But there's a self-destructive nature of addicts. That craving for failure and self-destruction. I mean,
is it controllable as an addict?
It is, but remember this person already lacks willpower. Okay, not lacks, but his willpower on the gauge is relatively low. And they're more susceptible to what? To falling for the cons of the situation.
I feel you.
Yeah. I mean, let's say if I was an addict in recovery, heroin is it fucks me up, it takes me places.
Yeah.
A beautiful woman approaches me. She's very beautiful, she's very attractive, should be very ideal.
Yeah.
But she's a heroin user. You're faced with 2 choices in that moment. Is it worth it? Should I indulge? Should I try to create a bond with this person? Or do I really know that I know what's going to happen?
Yeah.
We're going to go for ABC, and the loop is going to, the toxicity is going to. So just that awareness of, this is bad for me.
Yeah.
I know this is bad for me. It's just decision. And the Lord tests you. He tests your faith. He needs to know how strong you are sometimes. And he needs to know if, back to your question actually, the people you try to help, but don't really seem to want the help.
Yes.
They are not yet suffered enough. It's plain and simple. I mean, to each their own.
Yeah.
Remember, for you, you can't give what you don't have. You who's giving me help, your mental health has to be your number 1 priority. You can't pretend to care about me more than I care about myself.
Okay.
You get?
But I'm not pretending.
I'm saying, no, it's pretense.
How?
Because now you're forcing it down my throat. I mean, I've clearly showed you I don't care about myself. Why are you pretending to care about me more than I?
Oh, that's a feeling that goes on in. Okay, I get it.
You get it? But so even from your perspective, I believe the Lord doesn't give us any more than we can handle.
I agree.
Like all the mishaps in life, all the challenges we face through, all the things that seem so bad and whatnot, I believe these are the best moments to learn from life. These are things where you get to know your strength, your weaknesses, and if you go through those challenges and come out the other side a strong person, I believe that is now when you're on the real path to
I
living.
agree. I feel like every hurdle, when you go through that hurdle, there's so much to learn.
Yeah.
The next hurdle is just a little smaller anthill, and even if it's bigger, the moment you go through it, it's just it's a lesson.
Yeah. That's the reality of it. Because you who has already come out to offer a hand, you have done your part.
Okay.
You have really done your part. You have planted the seed. You're basically telling this person, when you're tired, when you feel you're really tired, come.
I'm here.
I'm here. You get it?
Yeah.
Because they're not really tired.
But is there like other people who don't get that tired in the sense that
Yes.
they don't feel the line of tired?
Yes. Eventually, there are people who are hardwired. I mean, addiction defines them. There are people who know being in jail, going to rehabilitation centers, halfway homes, and you come home for 2 months and repeat the cycle.
Yeah.
Like that's what they have been accustomed to.
Okay.
You get. But for the reality of the situation is, the addict really needs to want the help. They also, deep down, they've reached a point where, you get tired of being tired. Like, it's so much that because the addict is depressed, I think, like 24/7, amongst other things. Yeah, because there's a weight on your shoulders, a weight on your mind, there's a hit. Your mind can't function the normal way. You always have to be shooting. Something's always going on in your mind. But it reaches a point where even you as a human being, because I remember my first episode of real dire depression, I think I was around my senior 4.
Oh, you were young.
I started, remember, my usage dates back much earlier.
Yeah.
So already now the things were, because remember when you start young, my body was still developing, my mind was still developing, my emotional intelligence was still developing. So by senior 4, the body had already started showing signs that, you can't. It's too hard.
The toxins.
And all that. So I was actually going for mocks. I remember Friday, started feeling the effects. Monday, we were going in for examinations.
Really?
Yeah. But I started zoning out. Like Saturday, Sunday. For the first time, I was feeling the plummet. Like I was my energy levels, like I was plummeting to somewhere I didn't know. So I didn't know what to describe this. I simply call it a brain lock.
A brain lock.
My own coding was a brain lock. Because no one in the school knew what was going on. I didn't know what was going on. This is very unique. I mean, we're talking about real clinical depression.
Yeah.
Like I was sleeping 22 hours a day. I would go 3 days without eating. I wouldn't say a word to anyone. It was, when you feel like hell has visited you?
I can imagine.
Yeah. And the people you even expect support from start telling you things like, you're just seeking attention, and I mean, you're not contemplating suicide, but you're feeling like, it's not worth living. It's not worth being alive in that moment. Like, it feels so bad, because anxiety is also on the other spectrum of things.
Yeah.
But depression feels like you have really been visited by hell. The sense of hopelessness is so crippling. It's so painful to be in that situation that you crave unconsciousness. Because this is a person who, I'm not even sure if I'm asleep the 22 hours of the day, but I can close my eyes for 22 hours. I'm in my head.
And my mind is still running.
My mind is running, but now my conception, the way I view time and reality are very different. So what can seem like 6 hours in reality to me can be like 6 minutes.
Oh, I feel
Yeah,
you.
or what is 6 minutes is actually 6 hours. Because those were the longest days of my life.
And your S4 is about 16 years, right?
Give or take.
Yeah, you're still a kid.
Yeah.
Did you fathom these emotions? Could you understand what was going on? It was more like, I feel some shit and I don't know what's going on.
In that moment,
Yeah.
it was crazy. Like my close friends, because remember when I was still going for exams. It's not that you have time to rest. I was literally going for these exams. I write what I can for 15 minutes and put my head on the desk.
Oh dear.
Like, even my closest friends to date, because these are people who moved with me through the journey. Like, my closest friends have seen my journey. Some of them have actually been there witnessing it. It was really scary.
Sorry.
It was really, really, really scary. It was a very, very bad place to be in.
Yeah.
But I mean, I had the second episode in my HSC as well during school and rugby career. But now I remembered how it felt like the first time.
Okay. The emotions were fresh like that.
Yeah, they were fresh. But now I knew. Now at least I had prior experience. Like I was like, okay, I could get through that. It's starting again, I can feel it. You enter the loop. But what kept me going is, I know it's not going to be the what. I'm going to come out of this.
Nice.
Yeah, I was like, since you've decided not to commit suicide and take your life, I mean, you might as well stay alive.
I like that.
Yeah.
Nice.
But
well done. Yeah.
some people are not always that, they're not that strong.
Yeah.
They're not that strong. Because I remember when, when you see so many psychiatrists, so many people try to evaluate you, you get to find out a lot of information about yourself. But this is me. By the age of 20, I had been diagnosed with manic depression, that is bipolarity, as psychosis, I mean drug-induced psychosis.
At what age?
By 20,
wow.
I had been diagnosed with all these things. Mania, depression, I mean the bipolarity, the psychosis. Like, I was told I would have to be on medication all my life. I would have to be a user. They're called users, just like you see people with diabetes, people with, I mean, those chronic illnesses.
Yeah.
I was going to be a user all my life. I was told if I ever used the substance again, if I ever smoked anything again, if I ever put anything that alters my consciousness, I would become schizophrenic. There were, basically those people who have hit the end of the road.
Yeah.
But I mean, I didn't end up that person. I mean, I am not that statistic.
Thank God. We thank the Lord.
I am not that statistic.
And you, we thank you as well. That's a job, yo. That's a real job.
It could not define me.
Yeah.
I felt like in that moment of being so misunderstood, because the addict feels so alone.
Okay.
Yeah, feels so alone. By the age of 20, I had been arrested, I had been institutionalized, I'd slept on the streets, I'd been through some pretty crazy things. And you may never understand what it means to be confined. But let's just take a look at lockdown. I mean, they confine you to your home area code. Just your area code.
And you're losing your mind.
And you lose your mind. You lose your mind.
Just small curfew of 9 p.m.
Just small curfew. You're like, oh my God, it's 7.
I know.
You're like, but you picture being in.
That's true.
Yeah, but fuck him, yo. Like, picture being in a cell, like it's like a back room, like it's this small, but you're already going through so much. You get, because the number of times I went to rehab, most times I was accompanied by police.
Hey.
Oh yeah, crazy. I'm crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah, you see, once your mind is, because it's crazy. No, I mean, I was a different. You see, when I was really on the highs, I was a different kind of addict.
I want to know, if you're free to share your story with us anyway. In your highest.
No, in my highest.
You said you were crazy.
I was crazy. Yeah.
Give me one or two, or whatever, or half of the most crazy shit you did in your.
Like a scenario.
Yeah.
I remember once I was coming from my place in Bugolobi. We were going up. Actually, the previous, 3 days before, I was with a friend of mine. We met army, the LDUs, but with some army members. So we're lighting up. We had our marijuana, So it was a cold night, so they could smell it.
What time is this?
This is like around 9 p.m., 10 p.m. We're walking to a bar. There was a bar called, Trends back then.
Yeah, I remember Trends. Yes, I remember Trends.
So just before we enter there, the corner, we find there were 12 guys, and they were beating people left, right, and center.
The funders?
Yeah, they are funders. But I mean, we're a bit sophisticated. I mean, we have money in our pockets. I mean, you're not going to flog us, no. We can talk about this thing. We can talk about this thing.
Talk to me nicely.
Yeah, let's talk about this thing. So we end up we sorted the issue. You know how the Ugandan system works.
I know.
You walk your way from the back of the line, the 12 men, till you reach the front guy, and you sort your issues. So I think 3 days later, I encountered the same guys, but now I was going somewhere completely different. but I was strapped. I had some accessories, my goodies.
Hey, you carried your goodies.
I had carried my goodies with me. So they spoke in Kiswahili and I didn't think they understood. Okay, they didn't think I would understand what they were saying. But I was already so tired, I was so stressed. I was like, let me first talk to this, I think, Ossi, and first greet him and thank him for a job well done. So I stopped them, like, they were like, there used to 12 guys. I stopped all of them.
It felt like a good idea.
I felt like a good idea at that time. I mean, it's like 11 p.m. I was going to do my own business. I stopped them and said, thank them for a job well done.
I in the Republic of Uganda.
Yeah, thank you so much. But I really had no documentation as a real description of unruly. So as we were going up, they told me to join the line. I felt really bad. I mean, you niggas just extorted me. Like 3 days ago, you even remember me. And that's how you decided to treat me. So it was a long walk from like Lufuli all the way to the marketplace. You know, you go up Mango Grove, you pass by the flats, you reach the market, then they take you into the police cell. You're on foot. So as we were going, they start flogging me a bit. They start flogging me. I was like, okay, these niggas may not really know, but these are my streets.
My hood.
Yeah, my hood. So I retaliated a bit, but I realized we're in such dark places, I needed some light. So I waited, I went through the flogging, I went through the insults, the what. But once we got to the market, now I knew it's my turn to show you what I have to offer. So these are 12 men, they're armed, but I knew since we're in public, the odds of them trying to shoot me and an armed guy are very slim. So I started fighting them. Like all 12 of them.
With their guns?
Yeah, with their guns, but they couldn't. But because the border men knew me, the people who sell food know me, all the people in the shops know me. Like, I was doing that intentionally because this is my streets.
You had your back.
Yeah, my ghetto was right there. You get it?
Yeah.
So, but in this whole process, it was really fun. Because when I used to play rugby, I mean, I need an outlet too.
Oh.
I grew up with my own insecurities. I fought my way to where I am here.
And you're high also in that moment, right?
High was the new norm. I don't think you can say I was high, but you can say I was high.
Okay.
But I don't consider myself high. But emotionally, I was manic. I was manic. Like, these are 12 military men. These LDUs people fear.
Right.
Me, I was having a field day. I mean, beat me, get down, get up. Where the next three?
What?
Like this, they also they were so impressed, I think. They'd never seen anything like this, I think, in their lives. You get it? The whole market stood, like the whole Bugolobi, like, watched, like I was being dramatic, like they hit me.
Assaulting.
Everything I could do, I mean, they hit me with a gun butt, I fall to the floor, I look at them, I collapse, I get back up, I jab them. You get it? Yeah. So eventually, they whisk me away to the police station and whatnot. So even when we get to the police station, I'm still really, really hyper. So in the streets, once you get arrested, you also have to make an impression on the people
in jail.
Yeah. It's hierarchy.
Yeah.
I mean, you enter weak, you get down the food chain. So you don't know who is there. You don't know who a murderer is. You don't know who the thief is. You don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to get there and establish hierarchy.
Yeah.
I got in there and I had to establish hierarchy.
What did you do?
I started off by, asking them why they were there. I needed to know the kinds of people I was with. Boss man. You get? Yes, you have locked me here, but I need to
Who are you?
Who are you? What are you doing here? Why are you here? You get? So eventually the guards, the army guys got really offended. They tried to come in to silence us. I was really, after watching so many movies, when the police walks in, you're a black man. I mean, you have to kneel down and put your hands on your head. Those are the same things I was doing. I mean, they walked in with all their torches and their... You get it? I knelt, I was like Michael Scofield. Then, they tried to point a gun at me and things like that. I really got pissed now, I actually took the gun away from the army guy. I picked it from him, and because he had already coached it.
Oh, shit.
No, I just held it and...
Did you shoot?
I wouldn't be here.
Okay, good point.
You get it? But I don't know how fast the cell emptied. But all of a sudden, I was the only one left with the army guys staring at me. Because they knew if they were to lift their gun as well, I was going to give them. You get? At that moment, I didn't really care. I was really, but I mean, eventually I was like, okay, it's not really worth it. I'd had my fun.
Yeah.
I handed them back the gun and, knelt and got my share. So
Must have been a wholesome share.
it's really nice. It's really nice when they give you you feel some nice pain. But I mean, this is one of those. I have tons of stories, tons of crazy stories.
You said something that has brought me a question. You said it was really nice, and is it possible that addicts live off the pain?
Different kinds of addicts, but remember the craving, the self-destructive nature of addicts. The craving for failure, the craving for pain and all this. I like pain to death. That's why, go to the gym, feel pain, but productive pain. Now it's no longer that useless pain. Because we're all in this world to suffer.
We are?
We are now. Living is suffering.
Okay.
I mean, once Adam and Eve ate the forbidden fruit, they had finished things for us.
Over.
Like that, God just started cursing. You get it? He started spitting bars. After Adam and Cain, Eve, this Cain came.
Adam and Cain live as
No,
days.
Adam and Eve. After Adam and Eve did
Then
their
Abel
thing,
and Cain.
then Abel and Cain. Like, Cain just came to just really show God to the baby. Because, do you think we're descendants of Abel or descendants of Cain?
My take of this is divided.
It's divided.
Yeah.
Let's not go spiritual for today,
let's not
but
go spiritual.
that's another realm as well. But
Yeah.
I'm saying now the pain I crave
Yeah.
is developmental pain.
Okay.
Like, this is worth suffering for. My sobriety is worth fighting for. It's painful. It's okay. It may not be the best.
Feel free with the language.
It's uncomfortable to be in those situations, but it's through this pain that I'm going to get my rewards.
I like that.
But back then, during my active addiction, we're 4 guys, thieves. We're the thieves. There are thieves in the area. We're now running to them.
To attack them.
Oh yeah, sure, for sure. Those are things. Those are things. Actually, rest in peace.
Wow.
A brother of mine who was beaten to death earlier on this year, but like he was also one of those people I used to fight with.
It was part of you and that.
Yeah, like when like thieves come and you guys are all running away, we will be running towards the thieves. Like,
Did you have tools at least? Or it
no,
was
no,
just
no, no,
the
physical.
mind?
The mindset, we're ready.
Hey, you on fire?
Yeah, we just do a fact check. Like, do they have guns? Do they have knives? They're just cheating. Oh, please, let's go.
And did you actually used to beat them, or they would beat you and then you would not say it?
No, I'm here.
How do we know? You might have survived.
I survived, but even them, this is even a thief gets impressed. You get, even them, they're like, okay, usually it's the people are running away. They're not used to people actually running to them.
I feel you.
Yeah. So by the time you run to them, even there's something
Okay.
Yeah. So we had also played. We were really.
And you were a sportsman.
We were violent people as well. We had a touch of violence.
Well done. I want to know, something has been going through my mind lately. Let's say I'm talking about substance and alcohol addicts. The ones who are in that you said the users, the recreational users, now the actual,
The dysfunctional ones or the functional ones?
Let's say when they're crossing dysfunctional, like let's say Fahad, I'm watching you. I've watched you for a couple of years. You're moving from functional, and I'm saying you're going through a path of distraction. But let's say I care about you very much, and let's say me and maybe your family or someone we know extract you for rehab because you're not the kind of person who has a mental will to check in. Does that help?
Tough love. Is what I can call it. Part of my being here is also a result of tough love. It reaches a point where those people who, as you say, you can make the decision for them. Someone can even call it abducting.
So sometimes don't abduct you.
Yes, you have to abduct you, put you in, take you. You get? That's tough love. It just reached that point where you no longer care whether they are going to hate you in the moment. You know you're doing it for them. They'll continue to hate you for a few periods during treatment. But along the way, inshallah, as things progress, these people pick up the gist of the situation.
Or they eventually...
Because rehab, because we're 21st century addicts. We're the most sophisticated addict science has ever dealt with. Because they have not dealt with they have not dealt with addicts such as us. We're the first people they actually get to experiment with. You get? Because from my personal opinion, I've seen someone two and a half years crossing to 3 years, lighting a J, like holding a J, like it's in the mouth and smoke, but this person can't even formulate a sentence.
What? Okay.
And these people are in my family.
Okay.
Like my chosen family, the one God gave me, and but like if people think me starting in P4 was early, now I saw a 3-year-old on marijuana. So 20 years from now, what helped me may not help them. Because back in the day, things like going for meetings, NA meetings, provided people with a lot of power to maintain their sobriety. But in the world we live in, those are just support groups. The essence of rehab is, I said, to empower. That is where these people are going to get access to psychotherapy. They are going to be given the tools to combat their illness. Because 98% of the people who go to rehab relapse within the first 3 days. Of
3 days?
3 days.
Jesus
Me, actually,
Christ.
all the times I left rehab, I relapsed that very day.
What?
Yeah. Actually, I remember there was a rehab I left. We stopped somewhere to buy things in the market. There's no place in Kampala you drop me and I can't get what I want to get. So I got what I wanted to get. So my caretaker was not entirely happy with that. But my sanity, I even tried to run out of the car, jump out of the car and move in traffic. Like, I mean, people needed to subdue me and things like that, but...
This is a post-rehab.
After rehab, that day I left.
And that given you clearance to leave because you were stable.
No. I never left rehab stable. Never did I leave rehab stable. I manipulated my way through rehab.
Oh.
Yeah, it reached a point where I was like, okay, now I think I may not be able to fight the system. Now let me really, really better it.
Okay.
You always give the impression of, trust me, there's no one as conniving and manipulative and an addict.
An addict. I've been told.
Oh my God, it's crazy. Now, like, I can talk for days if I wanted. It's even now crazy for the girls that I would encounter. Like, if I wanted you, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy.
You have me there like that.
Yeah. You get it? Because not
Yeah.
but this, now me had been an addict for so long, it became ingrained in my persona. That the number of years I'd been using, if you remove them from the number of years I'd been on earth, I would still be very young.
I feel you.
You get it?
Yeah.
So now, even when I was in treatment, I would find a way to live. I never did ever complete 90 days in treatment in any of the facilities I was in. But the knowledge I got from them, I mean, it's the reason as to why I'm here as well.
Okay, I've had stories of rehab and they're all similar to this. And I don't know how to feel about that because if everyone that's going in to get help actually can beat the system, that means it's a big gap. We're not doing enough.
Not beat the system. The thing is, are you that good at beating the system?
Not everyone can beat the system.
Not everyone can beat the system. No, the rehabs this is confinement. I was blessed that I think the last one I went to, we were eating like kings. But it's really psychological torture. You cannot believe it. Someone tells you 90 days. 90 days in real life can go by so fast.
Yes.
But 90 days that you're counting every day, being where you do not want to be, in absolute denial, against your will. Because if it is against your will, it means someone is thinking on your behalf.
But that's what I was asking you, Fahad.
Yeah.
The ones we abduct, take in, and then you said eventually
they pick up.
They pick up.
Yeah, because they eventually leave their highs, come down. Because by the time the option of rehab has been suggested, these are people that need intervention. That person has needed intervention. Because one thing someone told me, one of the counselors that used to come and, because this was a man from Cavalry, I really didn't like him.
Why? Why didn't you like the man from Cavalry?
How could I like him?
Why didn't you like
I'm saying, being a Muchiga, he embodied certain traits, certain character traits. But this is me in absolute denial.
Okay. That's okay.
Yes, but I think I'd been one of the most big-headed people. Like ngazete walichongamba. You get it? Like there was this perception of I might seem very strong, but I'm really, really delicate. You get?
Say it again, please.
I might seem really strong. I might speak and sound really confident and whatnot, but that is just a facade.
Yeah.
That is how I have adapted to my reality.
I feel you. In a way, I'm also just like that.
Yeah. So people, you couldn't tell me, especially now like my age mates, they couldn't tell me anything and I really internalize it. I think that's also where there was a gap is, not that I knew it all, but like, first of all, none of them knew me.
They didn't know you or you thought they didn't know you?
They didn't know me.
Okay.
Remember, I entered their lives an addict.
Oh, okay.
But never really did I ever even let them know to which extent. Because the addict lets you see what they want you to see when they're still functional. Yes. So it's a game of cards for the addict. You need people. Like you use people.
So a chess game for you.
It's a chess game, yes. Yeah, so there's also power in misinformation. So from back then, I couldn't reason at the same speed with most of my what? Because I don't think they would really understand the gravity.
True.
Because this is a person who doesn't even smoke cigarettes. Like for them, cigarettes is taboo. And I'm there telling them, let's go do a line.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, can I give you some heroin? I mean, I'll come down to your level and we'll talk about the shisha.
You'll know that this one is...
this one is for you. This one is for... You get. And also for my conscience.
Oh, you still have the conscience there, regardless?
Yes, I developed the conscience eventually. And now, at the climax of the addiction, there are people who, along the way, you influence and not for the right reasons.
Of course, yeah.
One brother of mine is already in the grave. One is borderline schizophrenic, but still alive. But these are people I influenced. These are people I know I had a role to play. I will not always take the blame fully because addiction is choice, but it weighs heavy on my subconscious.
Okay, good. I would understand.
Yeah.
It would weigh heavy.
Amongst the many that we influenced not in the right way, like these ones.
But did you directly, because I feel like you may take this blame onto your life, but did you directly, or is it just because...
Did I directly?
Influence to take this...
Yeah, there's also enabling. You can say enabling, but these are people I knew since who are this small.
No, but you're all, if you knew each other from that age, doesn't it mean that you are all going through it? So
No,
it's not really
it's
you?
different. Who was bringing these things to the community? Who was a toxic person? You know, Brenda, they'll tell you, Brenda, don't go out with your friends. Your friends are going to spoil you. What if you're the one spoiling them?
You're the one, okay.
You get? So that's the kind
So you were the bad man?
Big shark, like big things just. But I mean, like, it was crazy. But like now I look back and I'm like, it's not a way to live. You get?
Yeah.
So I always had the know-it-all attitude. I thought I knew a lot. Okay, I didn't know a lot, but I'd been through some relief. I can't even say it was crazy, but it was not the easiest life. It seemed really nice and beautiful and glamorous, but I was not happy. I was never happy.
Allow me to ask you some more personal questions in regard to your history. Am I allowed to?
Yeah, please do. We have done a very good job avoiding it.
Okay, right? Yeah, I was trying to give you the privacy and all. But yeah, I want to know, like, I would love to know, because you say you've gone through the genesis of your usage. Is it family? What was it? What was the actual...
So many factors. All factors to deal with addiction came into play in my reality. First of all, genetically. I remember from a very young age, I attended a burial of my uncle who had died from alcohol consumption.
Okay.
So, but I was very young. But what I remember is people never really talked about it. So growing up, I used to see people in my family smoke. I mean, your relatives smoke, they drink. I mean, to each their own. But we were, you know, the modern family, modern, and we have to put into context the challenges Muslims are born into this world.
Oh yes.
This secular world. You get, we're only human. to some extent. So yes, we're Muslim, we love our faith, but it has not always been so glossy. So I grew up seeing these habits. So it was inherently genetic. Then I learned from a relative.
Oh,
Yes, a relative is on
at home.
extended family. But I learned like the physical I got from a relative. I've been to rehab with relatives. I've taken relatives to rehab. Like for me, when I say addiction is a family disease, it is a family disease. Everyone I think has people have used in our family. It's not
So that you got exposed at a very young age
very
because of
yeah.
that.
I got exposed and facilities, resources. The families wasn't doing that bad.
Okay.
So with the influence of Western, you understand Western media and their influences. So all this trickled down, and that's the result we have.
I don't know if I should ask, but anyway, if you feel free not to answer. But weren't there like social aspects too? Because I feel like you were young, and I feel like because you were young, it can't just be. I feel like there must have been something that would trigger this young boy to go into beyond just.
I didn't feel loved.
Oh, okay.
I didn't feel loved. I didn't feel loved from my. As a child, like, you crave a love from your primary caregivers.
Yeah.
That's the truth. I'll be honest. I didn't have that.
Extended family.
Yeah.
Muslim.
No, I didn't have that.
Zero.
I didn't have, but this is your constant dad, this is your constant family, stable, you grow up. No, I didn't have any of that. But that's not the topic of discussion today. But I'm just saying, the typical way addicts live, like putting it out there. They come from families, because this world is not perfect. You don't choose where you're born into. But
don't you who your mother is?
Yeah, you can't choose who your mother is. And I was a big-headed child.
You look like you're big-headed physically. Like those kids who are so big-headed.
Because I grew up in a
You have people too. Come, no.
Not like that. I was actually a very shy person growing up. I learned this actually. I think in around P5 I went for public speaking classes.
Okay.
Well, those clubs you have in like primary school.
Those debating things.
So on that side, I had public speaking. Because now I remember in my reality, I was very quiet. I was always observing. I didn't come from a place where people show emotion. I didn't have that connection. Like you understand?
I feel you.
That's why as early as P4, I was already looking for.
I think you were seeking it and you didn't even.
Yeah, I didn't know. I was looking for love from all the wrong places and from all the wrong people.
I feel that maybe there was a void and
there always been a void there.
I feel you. Last time we were talking about, you said something that I think I told you I want us to bring up. Pushing limits.
Oh, crossing lines.
Yes.
The addict and boundaries and lines.
Yes. Please make it very clear for anyone struggling, any habit out there.
Any addict that is struggling out there.
Yeah.
I mean, it is clear. We actually know this to be true. Only you know how bad you can be. And only you know how bad it can get. So because you understand that our illness is with us for life to some extent, with it comes a certain level of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Thinking that going back to the same people who have hurt you, going back to the same places, doing the same things over again, using with the same people is going to yield different results. I think you have attested to the fact that doesn't work out the way it should. People use others and people also use addicts. It's only recently when I was having a conversation with one of my long-term friends, I think she's actually Muslim, I've known her since primary. But like, we're talking about people using, and I actually, it's actually, the bulb came on. Like I looked back and I was like, okay, yes, I might have used so many people, but I actually also acknowledged there are moments where now I know I was also used. Yes. So let's give a situation where if we're in a relationship, but our relationship involves usage, the real definition of a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
It's not good for you. Ordinarily, if you are sane, you would not even partake in that. But the insanity makes you cross all so many lines. You get it? And the lines that come from being in a toxic relationship is, it's just like a mob where people derive their energy from. You see, there's the power of one, but then there's the power of two. So the greater the number, the greater the power. So if we started engaging in kind of fascination, sexual relations and whatnot, the odds of us making mistakes are they're on the high side. You get it? So let's say during our addiction, we have binge used, and I get you pregnant, hypothetically speaking. What would we do in that situation?
I wonder. Let's see. So we're both.
Let's say if we were sane human beings, we came into this decision.
Oh, like to a decision we both made from that.
I'm saying no, as in, you see, once you're sane, you're sane.
Yeah.
Once you sleep with someone and you become pregnant, ideally, if you get pregnant, you are willing to what? I mean, the risk
Not
was worth
really.
it. Now, minus the recreation,
No, not about recreation. I'm pro-choice. What I mean is, me and you having sex
yes,
doesn't automatically transform to us having a baby or agreeing to have a baby.
Oh, then let's not have live sex.
Okay, I get you. Yeah, maybe that.
I'm talking about kind of fascination, the real essence of sex.
What if I have other birth control methods?
I'm saying as God created it.
Okay, I get you. Okay.
As you say, as God brought it down for us. God didn't come.
In us. Okay.
The Bible didn't come. The Bible didn't come with a condom attached to it somewhere. No.
Anyway, okay.
You get what were people using in the 300 BC? Weren't they having children? Weren't they having sex?
We don't even know.
Weren't they going to their gardens to till?
We don't know what they were doing. We don't know how.
But we are here.
Yeah, but
we're here, so we're an effect of there. So I'm just saying we bear the brunt of the responsibility.
Okay.
But now in the addict's life, remember now they're all individually insane. But now they're now two.
Oh, I can imagine.
So now their insanity is what? Yes.
Much more.
So ordinarily, someone might be for abortion and another against abortion. Either way, that is, it sets the precedent for a line being crossed.
Of course, because
Yes.
we don't agree.
Yeah. So eventually, once the relationship, it never works out.
Of
It never
course
works
it
out.
can.
That tested and proved.
Never.
It never works out. You're both using. I mean, back in the day, but that it would be a miracle in this day and age. They never work out. I mean, I have a friend of mine. He has 2 kids. He's dating another woman. She has 3 kids, and I'm like, yo, what's happening? I mean, he's not even 28. He's barely 28, but he wants to have 5 kids around him. They both still use.
The kids use?
No, like
Oh,
the parents.
oh.
Yeah, the boy and the girl still use. And I was clearly, when he started defining it, I told him that's a toxic relationship. You don't even have to have clean words and kind words for some of these things sometimes. It's the insanity. Yes, it is what it is. So we end up crossing so many lines as individuals. People end up stealing to procure their drugs. Because I mean, now if you're on class A substances, you're using heroin, you're using cocaine, you're using all those. These are not cheap things.
They're not.
But these are things where you need 3 fixes a day. I mean,
3.
I mean, the more the better. That was it back then.
Okay, I feel you.
The closer you, actually, the motto for me was, the motto for us, the closer you are to death, the sweeter it is.
When you're that age.
When you're there, on earth, you're about to meet God. Oh my God. You
The
get
euphoria is
the
there.
euphoria.
What?
You're like, oh yes, you get.
Yeah.
So you end up crossing so many lines. First of all, your relationships are already, they're not normal.
They're not normal.
Yes, the way people now relate with you is not normal. They're relating with you they may come from a point of concern and care, but the way you're going to, you in your insanity, the way you're going to actually respond to them, you may not respond, you may actually react.
Yeah.
And you don't know the line you have crossed, the bridges you have burnt. Because only recently, I cannot lie to you that I have all my shit together. You get? But I mean, after nearly close to 2 years of a sobriety that means so much to me, you get it?
Nice.
I look back and I'm like, there's still so much to learn.
Okay.
Because 2 years from the time I was, I mean,
Yeah.
I still have like 18 years of old habits to unlearn.
For real, for real.
Yeah. These are things that were ingrained in me. This is
You
a
are
Muslim.
child.
This is a
Yeah.
Muslim man, Muslim boy. Okay, you young adult who I was raised in a secular world. I started going to Christ the King in my P2, the basement for what are they called
P2?
catechism classes. I come from, and even from back then, I was always very well connected. I was that young kid who,
That 2-year-old.
yeah, that 2-year-old who knows people in those schools. So it never really came hard for me. I was always moving a lot.
Yeah.
I actually do remember. It also later on it transformed. It came into my addiction because I never had to ask for permission.
Oh. Okay.
I'm moving out.
You could just do everything you
Anything,
wanted to
anything and everything I wanted to do, I could do.
Oh, and you were young, yeah.
So I lacked a sense of discipline per se. There are types of discipline, but I always remember one thing my mom said to me when I was growing up, and I think now that is something I'm trying to live by. She always told me, Fahad, you're very undisciplined. And back then I was like, I didn't take it from a good point of view of, oh, okay, my mom is critiquing me, let me work on this. I was like, oh fuck, now I'm this horrible person. I might as well just be.
Oh, since you are assuming, okay.
Since you are assuming, I mean, because
I've had those thoughts. Though.
yeah, those thoughts. Now me as this kind of person of we're doing it, you get. Because back then I really held a very high standard of you hold a very high standard of your parents growing up.
Yeah.
So my biggest fear was always disappointing my mom. You get
Biggest fear.
My biggest fear in life. Like already I'm this quiet child, I'm just looking on. So I just stick to my things, try not to engage in conversation. Just, the only child, just be around there. I mean, you're the only child, you have no one to talk to. So you're just in your head.
Yeah.
So I think along the way, as growth happens, she told me one day, today you have actually disappointed me. It's a very huge disappointed. I'm very disappointed in you. Remember, that was my biggest fear.
Fear. Ooh.
That was my biggest fear. And when she said these words, like by the time she finished them, I'd already subscribed to Popcorn now. I was unruly for life. I was like,
I feel
I'm
like
disappointed
the person that you were keeping it
I was
together.
like, I was keeping it together for you, and even you were like, I was like,
You're like, bye.
unruly. I was like, bye. I outed and I gave it for like 15 years. I really lived a very fast life, but
Okay, as we wind up our beautiful conversation,
we may never finish,
yeah, but we'll always do this more.
we always do this.
Yeah. What was that? Because you keep saying it's hitting the rock bottom that you're like, you know what? I've had enough. I gotta do better for myself.
It's rock bottom.
But I feel like there's an event. I don't know why. I feel like there's always an event or a realization that makes the addict go like, hey, I've always known, but there's that, what do you call it? The final nail in the coffin that makes you wake up. That's what I feel. I feel like there's always that final nail.
Makes you wake up. When you're tired of being tired.
Because Okoye for a long time. That's a standard.
Yeah, it reached a point, I think, for like 3 months, I just left the world and move on. Because now I'd lost track of time. I didn't know which month was which month. I didn't know what was happening. So I'm chilling in my bendo. Then some things, you wake up, you use what? People come to see you, the toxic people who want toxic things from you.
Yeah.
Then they go. So you keep on so I really got into a depression, because now depression had become a soccer with it. Like I even now had a routine. But I think what kept me going is I was very stupid in my own thoughts as well. I always said, let me sleep for this moment, for these few hours. When I wake up, God is going to have planted $1 billion under my bed.
No way.
And all my
And you
problems
believed
will go away.
it?
I believed it. It gave me a reason to go
nice
on.
though.
It gave me a reason to go on.
Nice,
I was like, I mean, once I wake up,
and $1 million are there.
it was $1 billion.
$1 billion.
$1 billion. Then sometimes I'd add a zero. You get it? But like, now it reached a point where you're nothing.
You know you're nothing.
As in with them. In this world, I think everyone needs a point where, for some people, I was too big-headed. I think I needed a certain kind of pressure to get me back on course, but reached a point in my life when I was alone. Yeah.
Like alone physically or just alone, that you're alone?
No, everything. Like, no phone, no roommate, no friends, no connection, genuine connection to the world. I'd lost everything. I'd cut everyone off. I'd burnt so many bridges. No one knew what was happening with me. No one knew where I was.
Yeah.
And just dawned on me that, okay, yes, the notion of you're born alone is true. Yeah. And I think that's when I knew that I went back to all the things I'd been through, and I was like, okay, if I could go through all that without taking my life and deciding to fight the good fight, then my first approach to life must have been wrong. Like the fact that I'd tried the high road, and I saw it was not going to pay dividends, I believed there was another option. If I was not going to take my life, I'd rather now try the other option. Because now my life, at least I believed, should mean something.
Okay, that's nice. Then that's when you reached out for help.
No, I'd already gotten the help.
Oh, this was already in the recovery.
No, because remember after rehab and the therapy, you relapse.
I feel you, yeah.
You have to relapse now. All the facilities of the counselor comes in and you're seeing them. They're taken away. You get thrown back into the ocean. Now that is where the real recovery happens. In that what you learned through therapy, the rehabs and jail, because even there you learn big lessons. You learn to be a man amongst men first of all, because if you're looking for toxicity,
it's there.
If you think what your feminisms talk about is let's just put you in a cell with one of them. Just a cell, a Ugandan cell, and just get even the stench teaches you a lesson.
I can imagine.
You get yeah, because those are people who go through the worst conditions. I'm telling you, I mean, you're sleeping here, there's feces here, there's urine there. Someone almost half dead, beaten to death.
Aye.
I mean, you see a lot. So by the time I had gone through that, I realized, okay, now my life, let it mean something.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah, let it mean something.
Okay, maybe last one, Fahad. The addict who is there, can they do it on their own? Because I feel like there's so many people that keep telling you, like, I'm still giving it a shot. Because the ones who know, the ones who are aware of the vice that's going on, they keep saying, let me do it. So can they do it alone?
It's possible. You can do it alone, but you're just going to prolong your suffering and pain.
Yes.
That's the actual truth, and you know it. Because we're not going to lie to you. Even the growth is painful. But now we're just deciding which pain is worth it.
Feel that. Yes, that's it. So guys, choose it's all painful. There's no roses. Yeah, pick a struggle.
Pick a struggle. I mean, you're struggling as an addict. You're broke.
You're in pain. Hopeless.
Like, you're hopeless. Like, it's crazy. You know it's crazy, my
crazy,
G's. I'm talking to my G's who are crazy out there. We're crazy. We're lucky crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, let's now channel our crazy for real, like, real good vibes. I mean, find someone struggling, uplift them. I know you have been there. It's really shitty. But I mean, it doesn't last.
Yeah.
You get it? All the things, the $1 billion I was praying God to give me. I mean, the Lord answers prayers. Like, I already see it. Like, it's somewhere waiting for me.
Nice.
It's waiting for me. It's for sure. If I have life, that one I'm not even worried about. Yeah. And the Lord works.
Amen. He does.
Another clear example of the Lord working. Yeah. I think I prayed thrice. Like real conk praying. Like real get down in the middle of the road at midnight and park the car in the middle of the road and you just start praying in the middle of the road.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. So I had so many spiritual connotations and experiences that ironically the way the Lord was teaching me a lesson was crazy. Like I would pray to him, then get arrested that very day.
To teach you, my nigga.
I'm like, I asked you for help.
You are still stubborn.
Yeah, but I'm saying like now I look back and I'm like, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Like if they actually hadn't arrested me, then I was going for. Because actually all my plans prior to that were quite crazy.
Yeah. The Lord works in mysterious ways.
The Lord really works.
Sometimes what you experience is actually a blessing in disguise. Right?
Being beaten, being arrested, being all the bad things you have been through. They are blessings. I mean,
in a way, you learn
them
from
in good
it.
faith. Yeah, take them in good faith.
Yeah. So let's allow ourselves to heal. Let's reach out for help. You could do it alone, but it's a painful journey. It's unadvisable, so don't. come reach us. Our details are below. Fahad is here. Fahad Badman is always available. And then we have programs coming up where we shall be able to sit down with anyone that's going through it. And we have a Fahad that can speak like this out with, experience and make everyone feel better. Yeah. So guys, let's take care of our mental health. Addiction, you can beat it. Yeah. One thing from Fahad.
Because our systems, I believe, we don't have the facilities really to equip the pandemic we're facing, because addiction has been with us for so long. The treatment models may not be as effective, but me personally, what I believe in is fight the struggle individually.
Okay.
You get it? Gather so much knowledge about what is putting you through all these things. You may not entirely attain 100% sobriety, but I mean, let's at least uplift our standard of living.
Yeah.
There's always room for growth. I mean, me personally, I run a campaign called the Boss Campaign. This is a personal campaign that I occasionally share with some of my friends that are struggling. I mean, it involves 4 aspects: mindset, heart set, soul set, and emotional state. You get it? Work on the body, work on the mind, work on your God, and work on your social.
Yes.
I believe if you work on these 4 aspects every single day of your life, they'll become habit.
High five. I like that very much. I know it's very practical. It's been tested.
Habit.
It's true.
You get?
Yes. So work on those aspects of your life, and addiction will become. You'll be like, what? I can't believe I struggled with that.
Let's build structures for ourselves before we can build structures for other people.
Yes, people. Thank you. Hope you like this. Lots of more of this coming. More lifestyle, better health, but most importantly, don't forget to take care of yourself and your neighbor. Be each other's keeper. Life is already hard. Uganda is shit, so be good. All right. Bye. Peace.